Hello, this is Miss Griffiths. We're going to go over another skill. So today we're going to solve for one-step equations. Yes, one-step equations. You do one step and you solve for the variable. You solve for the equation. All right? And by doing that, we're going to be using the inverse operation. What is inverse? Inverse is the opposite of the sign that you're going to be using. So let's say that your operation is multiplication. So the opposite of multiplication is division. If you're adding, and the opposite of adding is subtraction, and vice versa. So if we go multiplying, if we go dividing, the opposite is multiplication. And if we go subtracting, the opposite of that is adding, okay? So we're gonna be using the inverse operation, or the inverse, we're gonna be using the inverse of whatever they're asking us to do. All right, so the first one's gonna be x minus 6 equals 13. Okay, we don't know what x equals, so we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna solve for it. X is a variable. A variable could be any letter from the alphabet that's taking the place of a number. So right now, this x is taking the place of a number. Once we solve for it, we'll find out what x equals, all right? So the inverse of subtracting is addition, right? So I'm gonna go plus 6. Whatever I do on one side, I have to do to the other side. We have to keep the equations balanced, all right? So we're gonna add on the other side as well. Then we're gonna go 6 take away 6, they cancel out, okay? You have nothing left because you're moving it to the other side. So all those 6s that you had there got moved to the other side, okay? Using the inverse of subtraction, which was addition. We have x left, so we have x equals 13 plus 6 is 19. Let's double check if we're correct, all right? I'm gonna plug in 19 where the x is at, all right? So instead of x, I'm gonna write 19 minus 6 equals 13. Is that correct? 19 minus 6 equals 13. 13 equals 13? Yes, it's correct. Good, right? We checked our answer. We plugged in our number back into the variable to make sure it was correct. And then since they're both equal to each other, then it's correct. We did a good job. All right, let's do the next one, number 2. Wait, I have to write it down. Number 2, 3 plus g equals 16. All right, let's solve for g. That's our variable. We're gonna solve for g. All right, 3 is positive, right? The opposite of that's going to be subtracting because it's positive. We're adding, so the opposite of that is subtracting, right? The inverse. And we're doing it, whatever we do on one side, we have to do to the other side. All right, so I took away 3 from this side, and I'm going to take away 3 from the other side. They're going to cancel out. 3 take away 3 is 0, so you have nothing there. We moved it to the other side. We have the g, and it's going to equal 16 minus 3. Which is 13. All right, we can plug it back in, right? 3 plus 13 equals 16. 3 plus 13 is 16. 16 equals 16? Yes, correct. All right, and we're solving it using one step, all right? Down here, we're checking our answer. This is checking. So here, we're checking. At the top, we're solving for it, all right? To make sure it's correct. Let's do another one. Let's go with 3. I have 15 equals 15. No, yeah, 15 equals 15m. All right. These two, when the 5 and when the 15 and the m are together, that means multiplication. All right. So we have to do the opposite of multiplication, which is division, right? That's the inverse. So we're going to divide both sides by the number 15. All right? Because we want m by itself. At the end of the day, we want m by itself. So 15 divided by 15 is the m, right? How many m's do you see? 1 m. I don't have to write the 1 in front of it. I just know there's 1 m. 15 divided by 15 equals 1. Let's check it, okay? 15 equals 15. I'm not using m anymore. I'm going to use the 1 times 1. 15 equals, what's 15 times 1? 15. So this is correct. It checks out. One step. We're solving these equations using one step, right? Which is the inverse operation of the operation that we're using to begin with. All right, let's do another one. Here's another one. X divided by 4 equals 2. X divided by 4 equals 2. Man, that looks really complicated, but it's not. Remember, one-step equations. We're using one step to solve these equations. So what are we going to do? In order to have x by itself, I'm going to multiply the 4 on each side, all right? I'm going to multiply by 4. So I'm going to multiply 4 over here and 4 on this side. Do we see that? Yes? 4 times 4 divided by 4 is going to give us 1x. The 4s are going to cancel, right? The 4s are going to cancel. And then we're going to be left with 2 times 4, which is 8. All right, we don't believe it. 8 divided by 4 equals 2. Correct? Yes? Okay. We could do another one like that. Let's try another one like that. This is number 5. W divided by 4. Let's use another number because we already used 4. I don't want to confuse you with the same 4. Not all the answers have a 4. So we'll go W divided by 5 equals 11. Okay? I need the W by itself, right? And right now we are dividing, right? So the opposite of it is that we're going to multiply each side by 5 in order to get the W by itself. So we'll multiply this side by 5, and we multiply the other side by 5. These 5s are going to cancel out. I'm left with W, and 11 times 5 is 55. All right? Plug in the 55 just to double check. 55 divided by 5 equals 11. All right? Yes? Good. All right. Should we do one more? Let's do one more. Why not? So let me clear this out. This is our last one. All right. We have 2r equals 22. All right. Like I told you earlier, when these two numbers are together, the 2 and the r, when they're together, you're multiplying them. The inverse operation of that is dividing. So we're going to divide both sides by the number 2 to get the r, which is a variable, by itself. So we're dividing both sides by 2. They're going to cancel out, right? R is left by itself. And 22 divided by 2 is 11. In case we don't believe it, we can plug it back in. 2 times, we know r now is 11, equals 22. 2 times 11 is 22. 22 equals 22. Correct. All right. Once again, what we did today, we're solving one-step equations using the inverse operation. So if they asked us to multiply, we were dividing to solve for the variable. If we were adding, we were supposed to subtract, right? And vice versa. And if we subtracted, we were going to add to get the answer. And if we divided, we were going to multiply to find the answer, to find the unknown value of the variable, all right? So what we did today, we solved one-step equations, okay? Thank you.